Excuse me. Are you getting any feedback from adverse reactions from the vaccine? I'm afraid to take it, man.
I didn't have any adverse reactions basically, so I don't really know because every person has different effects on the vaccine.
Understandable.
Like for my partner, he had like a minor like
Yeah, that's not what I'm talking about, but I'm talking about serious stuff.
oh no,
Death.
I don't think so.
Have you ever been to the CDC's website?
Yes.
Right. There's a section called VAS, Vaccine Adverse Reaction, something about it.
Okay.
And there are thousands of people writing in and saying that they have...
As far as I know, the adverse reactions come in to play when that person has not been tested for comorbidities. So if they didn't know anything about that and they took the vaccine, probably that's how the reaction would come in.
Yeah, but they're reporting death.
Well,
You should check it out. It's called VARES, Vaccine Adverse Reaction
okay.
something system.
Sure.
It's like a Wikipedia page, so if anybody can go in and
Yeah.
make entries. That's why I can't trust it. I don't know who's writing that.
Well,
I'm assuming it's being moderated, but I'm hearing all these horror stories about people getting, I can't pronounce it, the heart disease, Mayo something.
myocardial infarction.
Yeah.
The MI, you mean? Oh, I can't really say anything about with regard to that one because I haven't read anything like studies for the previous when they started the vaccine, the rollout of the vaccine. So I don't know. I can't say, but so far with my primary, she recommends that I would take the vaccine. That's
Which one did you take?
The Pfizer.
Pfizer.
So
Yeah.
far, I think Pfizer is safer than from the rest.
But Pfizer has 2 shots, then the booster. And
Yeah.
It's like, when are they going to stop?
Well,
So like every 6 months you're going to have to get a booster?
it probably is because we don't know, especially one of my friends who works in a molecular lab in California saying that the virus is evolving. So it's hard that because our vaccine is like monoclonal, so it's like if the virus evolves, then that vaccine is no longer going to work for that.
Yeah, so when is it going to stop, man?
Until everybody gets vaccinated or everybody complies. That is just the problem. It's like the flu. It's like the flu. The flu, except that there are only 2 flus that are around, like A and B. Influenza A and B. That's it. That's why we were able to stop the spread of the flu. But we still take the vaccine for the flu shots every year. So as far as I'm thinking, it's going to be like that since, until the virus stops evolving. But that's very we can't say when that's going to stop.
The reason is what in the height of the pandemic, I rode by Mount Sinai and I never saw any sort of indication that there was a pandemic.
Yeah.
People were partying at 7 o'clock every night. People were coming outside, no mask. One day I came and they were giving out orchids. And there were like 5,000 people lined up there just going back in.
Well,
everybody was relaxed. I didn't see any sign. I mean, I don't know what to look for, but it didn't look like somebody just saw a bunch of people dying in a hospital. They were partying, they were playing music and stuff.
Excuse me.
Did you experience anything?
Well, before the pandemic even started, I didn't even know that there was an epidemic going on. But it's just that we weren't informed about it. I think it was hidden from us, and until that it was already happening and we are in the epicenter, we kind of like realized that this is going on.
And I personally discovered a lot of fakery, like the freezer trucks they put outside the hospitals. The news was saying they were filled with bodies, turned out they were never used. The Central Park Hospital, remember the tents?
Yeah.
They did several news stories about that hospital, that it was filled with COVID-19 patients. When they dismantled it, the the news came out. It was never used. Not one, never used.
Really?
The ship was never used. So the media created all this like fear from it. I mean, if you go through Central Park and you see these tents, you'll be like, oh my God, the hospitals are overflowing.
Yeah.
Turned out it was never used, not one patient, and now they're admitting it. So I don't know who to trust. That's why I prefer, hey, this guy looks like, you know, somebody you can depend on, because you can't read what.
Yeah, unless, like, recently my dad passed away because of COVID. 3 weeks, last week. So, and comparing the vaccines, like my dad was from the Philippines, got the Sinovac, we got the Pfizer, I got the Pfizer. But because he has hypertension and diabetes, he got after a week. After a week he was on recovery, but because of the hospital acquired infection got to him. That's why he.
So the hospital got him sick?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
some hospitals are just, especially in my country, it doesn't have the, what do you call this, like accountability, or if you say that like malpractice, they don't have it. So how would you be able to know if they're actually following the protocols of the
Right.
hospital and making it sure that patients are not going to go from one place to another carrying any bacteria or something? So
The other thing with the vaccines, you probably know this. You know, you can't sue a vaccine manufacturer.
no, yeah,
Since 1986. They
Yeah.
passed the law, you can't sue them.
Yes,
too.
yes.
So what's that all about, man?
That is something that everyone has to look into. I have
Is that weird? That's like if I eat food from this van, I can't sue the van
no.
if they get me sick. So then I'm not gonna eat that food, you know?
Yeah, it has caused a lot of uncertainty for all of us.
But there's a lot of fakery going on too. The freezer trucks they had down by the mall on 30th Street on the FDR. Do you remember that?
No, I don't know.
They had a parking lot behind Bellevue, and they had 12 freezer trucks.
Okay.
All right, and if you look at the news, they said they were filled. Bellevue was overflowing, so they had to bring freezer trucks in to serve as temporary malls.
Yeah.
Turns out they were never used. They were never even switched on.
Really.
Now they're saying they had it just in case.
When the pandemic started, I was in Troy. I work in a hospital in Troy. Basically, probably around the third quarter of the year when that started, they were bringing patients upstate because this was already in full
Filled up.
capacity. Yeah. So
Sure.
there were patients that we have received by helicopter coming from the city.
Really?
Yeah. So I don't know really what happened
Troy,
here.
what is close to Troy?
Albany.
Oh, that's far up there.
It is far up.
I mean, I don't know what to believe. Again, the freezer trucks were never used, and then they took them all and parked them in Brooklyn and on 39th Street on the pier,
Okay.
in the middle of a parking lot for months and months.
They never-
And you look it up. Go look it up.
I can check.
They're gone now, but they were there for like 18 months.
Wow.
No diesel, no electricity, and they're just in the middle. And they said they're filled with unclaimed bodies.
Wow.
That was just simply not true. You know, these freezer trucks is the same ones they use for ice cream and meat and stuff.
Yeah.
You need to keep that running
Yeah.
to be cold. They had them in the middle of the parking lot, switched off. So there's a lot of fakery, man. I've seen like
That's
cemeteries up in, I woke up in Rye, and there's a cemetery that I ride by every day.
Yeah.
When the pandemic started, they had chains on the gate, locked up, never used. So when they finally opened, I went in and I spoke to whoever is in charge of it, and I said, I'm confused. This is a pandemic. How come the cemetery is closed? And he told me, he said, oh no, we never closed. We closed it to the public. But we were burying people, a lot of people every day, which is a one-way drive, man, because I worked like
Yeah.
a few blocks from it, and it was chained up. Grass were like it was growing really high. I spoke to one of the grave diggers on my way out, and I asked him, and he said no. When it started, when they closed it up, he was home. All he was doing was watching TV. He had no work. He said one day they called him out and his crew to
Yeah.
cut the grass. For one day, they cut the grass and they went back home. They would know. So
That's
why
it.
did he lie to me? You know?
Well,
I mean, you know what I'm saying? There's
Yes,
a lot
yeah.
of like. I understand sometimes they may say, well, they want people to take it seriously. So how do you know when they're lying and when they're telling the truth?
that too. A lot of information was not being told.
And because of that, a lot of conspiracies spread. Because
Yeah.
people are not getting the correct
That is
information.
correct.
So they make up stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for talking to me,
You're
man. It feels good. You
No
know.
problem.
So you had 2 shots of Pfizer.
I had 2 shots and
And no.
No, I didn't have any. Honestly, I didn't have any.
Here's my theory. This is pure. This is
Okay.
not even a theory. This is a hypothesis.
Okay.
When the pandemic started, my hypothesis was they're going to come out with a vaccine, but they're going to hold it back. But it will just be a placebo.
Oh.
I have no proof or anything like that.
Well, I've tested for the spike, which means that you have the antibody for the virus.
And
I did have.
it was there.
Yes, I
So the
did have
vaccine
an
did something.
Yes. So basically, I'm still I still have the immunity from the vaccine, which likely I'm pretty sure protects me, even though, because basically, what this vaccine, as I understood, this vaccine would protect you from not having a serious effect of the virus. So you might feel sick, but you won't go to the point that you'll be severely inflicted. But yeah,
So what I noticed too, like I live on 55th Street, close to Times Square. People have their masks, they're vaccinated, and they're coming into the most crowded areas. If you go down to Chinatown, it's
Yeah.
like, are you tempting fate, man? You know, even if you're vaccinated and you're wearing a mask, still need to like stay away. Why
Yeah.
would you go into the thick of things? It's almost like if I give you a bulletproof vest, you'd say, hey guys, shoot me. Even if it's going to protect you, you don't want to get
I know.
shot.
But sometimes you know how human nature is.
Yeah, people want to get back in.
I
I'm
know.
like,
Yeah.
No, there's no 100% protection.
No,
I
there's
don't
no
know what it is.
There will never be 100% protection.
But again, I tell you, I came here like in March, April, May last year around the hospital because I want to talk to real people. You know, I don't want to listen to the news because I know they're full of shit. And everybody is relaxed. Nothing is going on. People are coming out. I asked the doctor coming out of Mount Sinai, I said, how is it? And he goes, he said, this is just a regular flu that they've renamed COVID. That was his response. He's a doctor.
Really?
Well, because I showed him that I was concerned and he was trying to reassure me. He's like, if they did all these tests in previous years, they'd get the same results because it's the same seasonal flu.
Yeah.
They're just making a big deal out of it.
Actually, that's how I understood it from the time when COVID started and up to last year when I moved here in the city. I was really thinking about that it could be just like the regular flu that everyone is going to experience and have, as long as they get vaccinated, it'll protect them, but not, well, because sometimes, even with flu, even though you have you got the vaccine, the flu vaccine, you'll still get flu,
Sure.
but you won't, it won't go like, it won't be severe enough that would lead you to die.
So did you just come to New York?
Yeah,
From where?
from the Philippines.
Oh, really?
I got here before the pandemic.
It's funny, I went to engineering school in Trinidad,
Okay.
and 90% of my teachers were from the Philippines.
Really?
For telecommunications. So I live on 55th and 7th,
Okay.
like Midtown. And when this started, all the hotels got shut down.
Yeah.
And a few of them stayed open because they brought in a bunch of doctors and nurses from out of town.
From out of state, yeah.
So they all stayed in my neighborhood. And I spoke to a lot of them. You know, I just came outside and they were like smoking and stuff. I spoke to them, I asked them how things go at the hospital. And most of them told me they weren't involved. They put them on a bus. They were handled by FEMA. They were put on a bus. They were taken to a hospital. They were not dealing with. And I said, "Have you seen any COVID-19 patients?" None of them saw any COVID-19 patients. Some of them were just there. They went. They attended like a protest
Really?
for lack of
A PPE. Yeah.
and stuff.
I heard
And
about that.
They were just given a script to say, "Hey, you go and participate in this," and all of them told me they're just like following instructions. Because I thought, boy, they're out of town, places like Alabama and
Yeah.
stuff like that, right? First of all, I was surprised that New York didn't have enough doctors to handle this. Then I found out a lot of doctors and nurses were laid off from New York. That's why they had to bring these people in. But none of them showed any sign of, how do you explain it? Like if you went to a hospital, you come out from out of town as an emergency nurse and doctor, and you came back from the hospital, you're coming out to the bus, all of them are like, they have like smoothies, eating,
Yeah.
and, you know,
No
like,
exhaustion,
relax,
remorse, or something. Nothing like that.
And at the hotel, it was like a party. They were there in the lobby, they're outside, everybody's relaxed.
Oh.
So, you know, that's like, where's the pandemic, man? And none of them could tell me that they saw any sort of trauma. And these were massive buses. These were like tour buses. And they were all assigned to a hotel to transport them from the hotel to specific hospitals. The New York Presbyterian, Mount Sinai, Jacobi up in the Bronx,
Yeah.
specific. And every time I talked to them, nobody ever saw a COVID-19 patient.
That I
I
have
mean,
no idea.
it sounds like I'm making this up, but I'm not. That's why
Is
I
it
said.
also because that they had to tell you nothing because of HIPAA?
No, they were willing to talk, you know, and they were like happy and laughing and,
Okay.
you know, enjoying New York. I asked them how they're enjoying their time here. They told me the biggest disappointment for them is that all the restaurants were closed.
Were closed.
You know?
Wow.
It's not like, oh, I miss my family or anything. It's like, well, I come to New York. The theaters are closed. The restaurants are closed. There's no fun. What else are you doing in New York?
Okay.
Man, I took up enough of your time.
That's
But
all right.
thanks for
No
talking to
problem.
me.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it and stay safe.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.